this is pretty much all we know, right? 48 new unique items, the Elda and the Shepa and the Zigidia and the 6 new Divination cards, didn't know that. All the new abilities we pretty much know about, right? They've announced just about everything. The Mirage Archer, and I think there was one more. Spell Cascade, Mirage Archer, Volley Support. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Despair is not included. Vulnerability. Split into 2. Elixir Volatile Dead. Body Swap. Cremation. Right. Okay. Yeah, no, this is everything that I've seen so far. Added 3D art for Malachi's Mark, Diala's Malefaction, Dendrobate, Hitless, Void Battery, Red Blade Tramplers, and Lightning Coil. Oh yeah, some of this we've actually seen, right? What's Malachi's Mark again? Oh, these things. Those can look pretty cool. Alright. The Abyss Challenge League. Well, we've went over this over and over. We know pretty much all about this by now. I don't think there's anything new here in particular. Yeah. Minor features. Targeting behavior of many skills has been improved, especially against large targets such as Kitava and Arakali. Thank God, that was actually a really big issue, and like with their totems and certain other abilities couldn't target those bosses, so thank the Lord. Updated the item frames to fit the current user interface. Nice. Updated the stash chest model. So new! So shiny. That's interesting. Didn't see that one coming, but now that I think about it, it was probably needed. Great idea. The tutorial has been slightly adjusted to better direct players who are having trouble very early on. Right. Added a tutorial element for using portal scrolls and improved the waypoint tutorial. Good. Added a visible tutorial barrier to the entry of Lionized Watch, which vanishes after a passive skill point is applied. You now open the help panel by pressing blah blah. You can be changed in the options menu. Okay. You can now dismiss help panel notifications by right-clicking them. They will disappear by themselves after 6 seconds. Nice. Zoom a little bit. Sure, that's a great idea actually. Sure. You can now turn Divination cards in at Navali, in the Epilogue Town, or in your hideout. The description of the Divination card achievement Soothsaying has been updated to reflect this. Very good. Thank the God. The Forsaken Masters have moved back to Oriath and can now be found in the Epilogue Town. It's a great change too. An effect is now played on corpses which disappear due to hitting the corpse creation limit for skills like Desecrate and Unearth. Nice. Not bad. This is a little bit too close. Values for ailments such as shock and chill effectiveness can now be viewed in the character panel. Okay. It's decent. POB, by the way. Added a system for scaling the visual effects of ailments based on the size of the monster. Ah, that's cool. Hopefully that's gonna be visible. Added voice acting for many NPCs and story glyphs which were missing them when they were added in Fall of Oriath. Oh, okay, I get it. Gotcha. Added image to the map pin hovers for area added in the Fall of Oriath. Added an option to leave your current party to the character portrait drop down menu. It's been so long since I've played, I thought that was already in there. The league selected on the drop down menu on the character creation screen is now saved. Hallelujah. And will be selected league whenever you open your client. Thank the Lord. Improved the quest reward selection user interface. So you can like move shit around hopefully now. Added a timer below each flask icon which, while the flask is active, displays the remaining duration for that flask. Added a timer below each flask icon which, while the flask is active, displays the remaining duration for that flask? I'm fucking claiming this one too. Holy shit. They actually did it. Oh my god, it took like 6 years, but thank fuck. They actually did it. My god, I'm a genius. I'm a genuine genius. Debuffs are now displayed on a separate line to buffs, flask effects, and charges. You guys are all welcome. Holy fuck, I'm like a fucking game developer now. Holy crap. Where's my check? Why aren't I getting paid for this? Hello? I don't know. I don't know. Damn. Auras you have active that are affecting you are no longer displayed in the buff bar as the skill icon shows which auras are active. Auras from other sources will still appear in your buff bar. That are affecting you no longer display in the buff bar as the skill icon shows which auras are active. Yeah, but does that mean that we get a new bar or something? That can be a little bit confusing when you've got like 10 different auras, but whatever. Should be pretty straightforward for most people. And I mean, it's, if anything, it's a nice feature still. Cleaning this shit up. Well, it's actually not that big of a deal now, right? Because your auras persist, like, if you log out and all that shit, so, yeah. It's nice. Skills with modified cooldowns now show their final cooldown rather than the cooldown modifier. Skills with modified cooldowns now show their final cooldown rather than the cooldown modifier. I don't really know what that means. Monsters will now show their rarity as they're emerging. Monsters will now show their rarity as they're emerging. The fuck? What does that mean? Oh, when you look at the skill gem, right? For Abyss? I mean, emerging implies Abyss, yeah, but show their rarity? What does that mean? On boring zombies, it's rare. You'll see that it's a rare and maybe nemesis. Right, like that. Okay, interesting. This kind of became like a non-issue at a certain point, but it was a big issue for the longest time, especially when Reflect was an aura and shit like that. Okay, well, yeah, that took a while, but yeah, I mean, better late than never. I think the quality of life changes are through the roof so far. Probably like the biggest quality of life we've received like since the longest time. Especially the UI improvements, holy fuck. The default minimum for dynamic resolution scaling is now set to 30 frames. You can change this in the options menu. Yeah, I wish my game wouldn't crash when I'm using this shit though. Improve the effect for monster rarities and ailments. Nice. Added support for subsurface scattering. Check out the ice and candles. Okay. Optimize a lot of skills, areas, monsters, and effects. Continue to incrementally improve the art, sound, effects, and environment. Damn, huge quality of life. I wonder how visual the improvements improve the effect for monster rarities and ailments. I feel like that's been kind of an issue. Like when they started adding all this new shit, sometimes it was very hard to tell when certain things were going on. So yeah, more things that make you know, you have more indicators of something doing a certain thing. Very good, very good. I love it. Character balance. Intimidate now causes enemies to take 10% increased attack damage rather than 10% increased damage. Causes enemies to take 10% increased attack damage? Words? What? The experience penalty at very high levels has been increased. This predominantly affects characters at level 95 and above. Wow! That's a great change! Fuck yeah! I bet people are real butthurt about that one, but that's great. Nice. Belt of the Deceiver. Rise, broke back. I mean, Intimidate now causes enemies to take 10% increased attack damage. Oh, I don't know why. Okay, never mind. I don't know why I thought this was. Whatever. Wait, but this is fucked, no? Isn't this like Belt of the Deceiver stuff? Damn, that's. Well, I guess that's fine. I'm okay with it. Skill balance. Yeah, no more RF Belt of the Deceiver. I mean, Belt of the Deceiver was pretty OP, all things considered. It's a very strong belt. I don't know. It wasn't like mandatory, but it was pretty fucking strong. Alright, skill balance. Existing vulnerability skills are now despair. Okay, we know about that. Your minions and their minions will no longer deal or take damage while you are dead. Woo! Get fucked, all you fucking scrubberinos farming Shaper like this and shit. It's funny because that was in the discussion yesterday, right? That like Shaper boss killing requiring skill and shit when you can just AFK on the boss when you kill yourself. Nice. Get fucked, all you abusers. Dark Pact no longer gains bonus radius when using life. We know about this. The damage bonus from using your life grows less quickly as the gem levels up, dealing 76% more damage at level 20, down from 95. In my opinion, a warranted nerf. I don't know if like 4 less radius is appropriate. Maybe like 2 would have been better. But yeah, I mean, it's still going to be incredibly powerful, and it dealt way too much fucking damage anyway. So yeah, you're still gonna see a lot of really great setups, especially considering the Slayer. Slayer really doesn't give a fuck about any of these nerfs, and like Vault Pact is a lot more accessible and everything, yada yada. Yeah, I think Dark Pact is still in a pretty good spot. I would say it's probably weaker than EK now with like really optimized gear, but it's still pretty up there. Detonate Dead now deals spell damage based on the level of the gem. In addition to damage based on the corpse's maximum life, the base fire damage dealt by the spell part of the explosion has been significantly increased. We've known about this for the most part. The skill now gains additional area of effect radius as it levels, and its base critical chance has been increased from 5 to 6. The cast time has been lowered to 0.6 from 0.8. Wow, and you keep the thing too, and it gets AoE? Damn, this might be the return of the DD. Fucking hell. Yeah, and you still get 1% per quality. Because they didn't mention that at all. DD looking pretty good. I mean, depends. I would imagine that probably in terms of AoE, it will at least get like 4 to 6 radius, maybe? That's pretty big. I think already DD had like radius. Wow, 22! I thought the radius was like 16 or 18. 22 on the base radius. That's fucking huge. If this thing gets like 6 radius or something, that's almost the size of an Ice Nova. Damn! With 0.6 cast speed and 6% crit, sure, the scalability is a little bit different, but pretty good. 22! Holy shit. That is really big. Yeah, it looks sick as fuck now too, if you guys have seen any of the videos. Really nice. Rare Spectre now grants additional accuracy to specters based on the level of the gem. Okay. Bear Trap and Vol Rain of Hours now remove all movement speed as opposed to reducing it by 300%. Thank you, because there was a pretty massive bug with this where sometimes you would get locked in animation, which was really bad, by the way. Yeah. Because you get locked in animation. If you were like mid-charge or like just starting and then you got hit by it and you just broke the 300% or something like that, it would just like slow you down to the point where you just couldn't move for the entirety of the charge. So sometimes you'd be locked in animation for like 10 seconds. It was really ridiculous. So thank God that they actually did something with this. This was especially visible with like exiles and shit like that. Every now and then you just sit there, man. Really, really bad. Like, really, you can't do anything but log. Raging Spirits now have a 15% less added damage multiplier, up from 30%. Raging Spirits now have a 15% less added damage multiplier, up from 30%. Okay, I guess. Summoned Skeletons now have a 50% more added damage multiplier, up from 30% less added damage. Huh. Holy fuck. Really? Okay. Raging Spirits, spiders created from our Kali's fangs. And the spirit skulls from the essence of insanity can no longer taunt their enemies. Yeah, the skeletons, that's pretty big. Like, I was planning to play some skellies in general. This shit is, that's pretty crazy, no? Like, I already saw people do pretty well with that shit. I don't know. That's pretty nutty, honestly. I mean, considering that, you know, summoners have been underwhelming for the longest time, and now they kind of want to keep them in line with everything else. And the fact that most likely, from what I'm gathering, like, Reflect will now actually reflect onto Reflect will actually now work on the summoners and shit like that. I don't know, maybe it makes sense. The amount of burning damage dealt by burning ground created by a burning arrow on a character with pitch darkness threshold jewel is now determined by the level of the burning arrow skill gem. Orb of Storms can now trigger lightning strikes from channeled skills. Orb of Storms can now trigger lightning strikes from channeled skills. Oh, that's actually pretty major. Orb of Storms does quite a bit of damage. Like, people generally don't use it for that, but yeah, 1 to 170, or no, wait, what is it? 59 to 177. That's pretty major, yeah. Huh. Okay. Maybe some people are gonna use it on a damage setup now. Possibly. We're gonna see. Desecrate. It's actually very useful for like early levels now, because a lot of people probably on casters are going to be using lightning abilities to like face tank with the new gem and shit. So, like channel abilities. So, pretty good for kicking things off, I think, on early casters. Desecrate now creates 5 corpses, up from 3. The cooldown has been reduced to 3 seconds per stack, down from 5. The cast time has been reduced to 0.8, down from 1. Desecrate's maximum corpse level now grows more steadily as the skill gem levels up. You can now create higher level corpses at most levels, except level 19 of the gem, in which the maximum corpse level has been lowered from 100 to 81. Wow, okay. Does the quality stay? Wasn't the quality? Yeah, it's 1% per too. Damn. Okay, that's a great looking tight. Looking pretty good. Lightning Tendrils has been reworked. For the most part, we know about this. It is now a channeled skill and deals more damage on every 4th pulse. It has also received a visual overhaul. The new version hits slightly less frequently than previously, but has higher sustained damage overall. Oof, I wish we had a number on this, honestly, because that's the thing that I was fearing. If they don't really touch Lightning Tendrils, just give it a new visual and make it a channeled skill, like the way it is right now, like that won't really do much for it. So I wish there was a number behind this, but I guess we're gonna find out. Minion life support now affects minion life multiplicatively. It now provides 30% more minion life rather than 30% increased minion life. Level 1 of the gem up to 49 more life at level 20. Whew! I mean, this was kind of needed, but that's pretty significant. That's pretty big. Dark Pact now counts as being a minion skill gem, and will thus interact with effects such as the one found on Cloak of Tiles. But Dark Pact already counts this as a minion gem, because you could use it with a +1 helmet, for instance, for minions, and it would work. Minions have 50% chance to blind enemies on hit. Socketed minion gems are supported by level 16 life leech. Wow, okay. Wait, but then this didn't work? Found magic items drop identified. Damn. Minions have 15% chance to blind enemies on hit. So does the blind portion work? It wouldn't, right? You know what you did, Rise. Yeah. Interesting. Ruthless support can no longer support channeled skills. RIP. Cyclone can no longer be supported by Ruthless support. What? Damn! That's pretty massive. Damn, dog. Yes, Dark Pact is a pretty great league starter. Damn. No longer support channel skills. Cycle no longer supported by Ruthless. That's pretty big. I mean, it's a good thing, all things considered, but that's pretty major. Oh yeah, I would say it's a good thing. I don't know about the Cyclone, honestly. I definitely agree with the fact that Ruthless can't support channel skills, because BF would like break the fucking game by one-shotting Shaper and shit like that, if you just count it correctly, but yeah, the Cyclones thing, I don't know. Does it need like a nerf? Does it need a buff? We'll have to keep reading, I guess. Iron Will can now support summon skeletons and will affect the damage dealt by skeleton mages if you're using the Dead Reckoning Threshold Jewel. What? Iron Will can now support summon skeletons and will affect the damage dealt by skeleton mages. Wait, your strength will affect the amount of damage the skeleton mages will deal through Iron Will? No way. That sounds so ridiculously strong. Too bad you can never ever get Dead Reckoning because it just does not drop. Do you have to use the Baron? You think so? But then isn't it melee? Damage W zombies. Maximum. Your strength is added. Oh, it just says your strength is added to your minions. I thought that was like only. Oh well, yeah, it would. Okay, yeah, because it adds strength and then Iron Will is a converter. Alright. No, that makes sense. Alright. I thought like your strength would affect it. I was just like, what? That would be so stupid. Arctic Armor Chilling effect now slows enemies by 30% when you are hit, up from 10%. I mean, that's okay. Only when you're hit? Kind of reminds me of D2 Sorks. Melee attacks supported by multi-strike now more accurately take attack range, including area of effect modifiers, into account when checking for targets for subsequent attacks. This has negatively impacted some skills and positively impacted others, but in general, melee skills supported by multi-strike will target monsters that better fit the behavior of the attack. Nice. Glyphs' area of effect was wider than intended close to the target. This area of effect now better matches the area the blades visually land. The total width of Bladefall's area of effect has been increased slightly to compensate for the now narrower early stages. Huh. It's probably a good change altogether. Stormburst burst is now correctly modified by factors based on the state of the projectile, such as powerful precisions. Projectile attacks have 100% increased per critical strike chance against targets they pierce. Wait, that works? Charge dash is now limited to a maximum of 15 strikes per skill use, as well as limited by distance traveled? Maybe there was something under wraps that the community never figured out? Okay. Static strikes radius has been increased from 19 to 20, bringing its total radius to 24 at gem level 20. Static strikes explosion now correctly applies ailments with 40% less effect. It was previously applying ailments without taking the less damage modifier into account. So it went from 19 to 24. 24 is pretty big, but I don't know. Ice Crash's radius has been increased from 8 to 9 for the first stage, from 16 to 18 for the second stage, and from 24 to 26 for the third stage. Oh, Earthquake's radius has been increased from 25 to 28 for the first stage. What? Oh, it says second stage. Why the fuck did I read first stage? The fuck? Okay, thank God. Okay, yeah, we're gonna play Earthquake probably. Reeve's radius has been increased from 17 to 20, bringing it up to 24 at gem level 20. Damn! Wait, really? That's pretty big. That's pretty fucking big. It's probably not big enough still. Unless they did something this under. Wither now increases scales damage taken by 6 down from 7 and stacks up to 15 times down from 20. So yeah, it's like a 50% nerf, but it's still incredibly powerful. So I think this was like... I don't know why this wasn't changed like when Wither got released pretty much. Volpower Siphon's radius has been reduced to 70 units, down from 120. Probably a incredible change. Item balance. Divination cards. Location, drop rates, and requirements for many divination cards has been reworked. It's part due to the change to the Atlas in this patch, and in part to the better integration divination cards into areas introduced in Fall of Oriath. Very good. Hopefully this is actually good. Life regeneration mods have been slightly renamed and reordered as 2 higher tiers have been added. Life regeneration mods on rare items have been buffed across the board, with the existing highest tier mod now granting up to 20 life per second. Existing items can be updated to these new values using divination orbs. Divine orbs. 20. Okay. When used on a belt, Essence of Insanity now grants 10% increased movement speed during any flask effect, up from 5%. Sure. Atlas only item base steps can no longer be found in Vol side areas. You could do that? Zeri's Acuity, no one would know about this. I think it's a good change. And maybe I would make Zeri's Acuity a little bit more accessible, but then it's still a pretty OP item, so. Witchfire Brood now creates a Despair, Curse, Aura on use. This affects all versions of the item, we knew about that. Doomfletch nerfs, we know about that. Doomfletch Prism, we know about that. Kong Ming's Stratagem no longer creates a smoke cloud when a socketed trap is triggered. Instead grants the Fog of War skill, which creates a smoke cloud when any of your traps are triggered. The skill has a cooldown. Lion's Roar now only grants knockback to melee attacks during Flask effect. Only grants knockback to melee attacks. Oh, okay. Liquid Cide, chance to draw from monsters has been greatly reduced. Woo! This item was being used on a significant portion of melee characters across all levels as an extremely cheap way to get around the accuracy. Well, thank fuck I don't really use that shield. The only time that I use that shield is on like Frostblades, but I am 100% dual wielding that shit with an Anguish anyway. I mean, all things considered, it's probably a good thing, but it won't really counter the thing that I fucked with the most, which is like, yeah, wonders and shit like that. I don't know. It's alright, it's whatever. Bisco's Collar. Chance to drop from monsters has been greatly reduced. Whatever. Queen of the Forest now has 200 to 240. I think this is a great nerf. It's still very powerful while not feeling like it completely breaks the game. Anybody that doesn't know, it's basically capped at 100% now. Not your total MS, but the amount that you get from Queen of the Forest. Rise of the Phoenix. Okay, so I talked about this a long time yesterday. All things considered, I think it's a awful change. The change is great when it comes to nerfing the fact that something giving you 8% maximum fire resistance is totally broken. So I can understand why they feel like this is justified, but it heavily limits RF MOM characters to the point of almost unplayability in some cases. And when it comes to regular RF characters, it doesn't really accomplish enough because people can still use the Sapphiles, people can still use this shield as a mid-tier, but the people who are truly invested into an RF character will simply travel more through the skill tree, pick up more life, and rather opt to use a shield that gives them, you know, 120 plus life with fire damage or something like that. So, I can see why they thought this was mandatory, but at the same time I hope that they will make Rise of the Phoenix a lot more accessible. A lot more accessible now and treat it more as like a mid-tier item rather than something that is endgame, which it basically is now because it's pretty rare and it's literally unfarmable through Divination cards even though it's got one, so yeah. All things considered, I can see the necessity of this, but a pretty bad change. Omen on the Winds now allows Ice Shot to pierce 3 additional targets, down from 5. Damn. Because the dead drop nerf was uncalled for. I disagree. I think it was too cheap to make like OP Wanders and all that sort of shit. I think it's a good thing, even though it personally hurts me. Yeah. Yeah, the 60 life on Rise of the Phoenix is just not enough. I feel like they should have either bumped up the regeneration, added something that allow you to still benefit from that, you know, 30 or so difference that you have between this when it comes to mana regeneration, or just gave it more life. I don't know. But none of these, like, the only change that I would like would be for the MOM builds, because this is quite build limiting and it locks options for MOM builds, and so that's my biggest problem with it. Not really the overall lowered power of the item and unusability in a lot of cases, just the fact that, yeah, it just removed some builds from the game now. Or made them have to like stop using Manifest Dancing Dervish is active. The Dancing Dervish now has a 25% chance to grant you a rampage kill when it hits a unique enemy. Oh, really? But this is so... I don't know. I don't know what this really accomplishes. No free rampage? I don't know what this, where this indicates that you wouldn't get free rampage. All this indicates is that you've got like rampage sustain. The Pandemonious. The chilling effect now slows enemies by 30% when you are hit, up from 10%. These changes affect all versions of the item. Sure. Ooh, the Baron. Here we go. Now adds half of your strength to your minions. Holy, rather than all of your strength. This affects all versions of the item. Yikes. Shit, man. That's probably a great change, honestly. I mean, it's still a good item. You can still use it for a lot of cases. And, I mean, let's be honest. This thing granted so much firepower to summoners. Yeah. I don't know. It's like they're kind of directing the way summoners are supposed to be played with a lot of these changes. Don't get me wrong. I always thought that Baron was just too broken to be a single item. It was just too good to be a single item. It made too much of a difference. I mean, myself personally, when I was playing the SRSer to 100 in Harbinger, not having a Baron and trying to chance it and not getting it all the way up to 100 felt like fucking dog shit, just because of the sheer amount of power you get from the single item with seemingly no downsides on it. But yeah, this kind of directs summoners in like different ways that I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, still a great item. Everything is broken according to Rise. I mean, you don't think a Baron that in a lot of cases will grant you a minimum of 200% minion damage is broken? You really don't think that's a little bit ridiculous? I think that's a little bit ridiculous, especially on a helmet slot. You know, if this was a chest piece, if this was maybe a glove slot. I mean, you've always got the alternative of a bone helmet too. It was pretty fucking strong, too strong. I would agree with that. You think it's still best in slot? Oh yeah. I mean, for the builds that can truly utilize this, for sure, it's still best in slot, no doubt in my mind. I mean, people forget about all the utility that a Baron by itself can grant too on top of the strength. And like, this would be totally different if Baron's stats were based off of like int or dexterity or something like that, right? Int would be broken in the past, but now int would be reasonable, dex would be reasonable. The thing about strength is that strength is an incredibly powerful stat in the current meta. I've always thought that the biggest issue with Energy Shield, for instance, wasn't the fact that it just gave you so much value, it was the fact that it was so easily scalable through intelligence. And now I feel like life kind of has the same problem where almost never do you ever feel like let me pick up one more life travel node feels bad. It kind of feels like you're just taking another node even though it's just 10% 10 strength. Because strength as a stat is just very powerful. And so yeah, it's still best in slot, I would say, for the majority of the summoner builds out there. Yeah. pretty good. Dead Reckoning now correctly replaces the number of skeleton warriors with skeleton mages when using Vol Summon Skeletons. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Death's Oath now properly updates its behavior when items, passive, or skill changes it in some way. Anybody got any clarifications for this? I haven't heard about... Well, I haven't really... Maybe Pox knows something? He's played a Death's Oath build. Oxium clarified that freeze duration not effect is based on energy shield. The functionality has not changed. Okay. New modifiers have been added to the areas all throughout Rayclass and Oriath, including newer, more difficult versions of the Parasite found through Acts 6 and 7, and Kitavafied versions of the Black Cards found through Act 5. Okay, cool. The number of monsters found in areas throughout the campaign has been adjusted, and the number of monsters found throughout the game should be more consistent across multiple instances. This particularly affects the Old Fields, the Vol Ruins, the Sewers, the Marketplace, the Battlefront, the Ebony Barracks, the Crystal Veins, but is not strictly limited to those areas. Okay. Vol Ruins and Old Fields. Interesting. I mean, I presume that some of these go up and some of these go down. Like Ebony Barracks probably goes up, while the Sewers, for instance, probably goes down. I mean, there was a fuck ton of mobs in there. I'm not exactly sure. I have to like really think about this. The following unique monsters are no longer immune to freeze, and instead have a minimum action speed that they will set to if they are frozen. The Shaper, Guardian of the Chimera, Guardian of Minotaur, Guardian of the Hydra, Guardian of the Phoenix, Vision of Justice, the Goddess, Argus, Abaxoth, Hast, Adziri, Vessel of the Vol, Adziri's Devoted, Kaj Alai, Kaj Irai, Kaj Torment the Temperance. I mean, I wonder how much this is. I mean, all things considered, I think it's a great change. I just wonder to what extent. Monsters which trigger skills based on the damage they take can now trigger those skills from taking damage over time. Wait, so like Glace and shit, for instance? Triggers on damage over time? No way. That sounds pretty fucked up. Immortal Call too? Yeah? Damn. That's a way to make some things fight back. Not bad. Infested monsters can now spawn parasites when slain. Infested monsters that can spawn parasites when slain now grant increased experience and drops when shattered or exploded. Oh, to compensate for them not releasing their parasite on death. Oh, that's a great change. Shield crabs now give additional experience if destroyed before they would unleash their final form. Wait, I thought that was always the case for all crabs. Crimson Scholar also gives additional experience if shattered. Okay, that's great experience. Great changes. Monster mods reflect physical damage and reflect elemental damage have been reworked. They now appear as a Nemesis mod. Mods. Attacking a monster with physical or elemental reflect now triggers a mortar spell targeted at your location. This spell has a cooldown. Wow, I didn't know that they changed this to a Nemesis mod. Huh. Ooh, do I like that? I mean, probably not. I was pretty comfortable with the fact that I didn't have to read what a Nemesis does outside of like fucking Nullifier or something. I mean, it's probably a good change, but I don't feel particularly comfortable with that. Both versions of Reflect now only appear on Nemesis rare monsters. Oh, yeah, that's right. It has to be a Nemesis mob. Okay, so you're gonna be seeing this a lot less frequently. Huh. Damn, I didn't know that this is the case. I thought they just like... the mobs just have the thing, but I mean, I guess that makes it a lot more visual. This kind of indicates that these things will fucking hit like trucks, though. Alright, very interesting stuff so far, honestly. I mean, from the like balance perspective so far, I haven't seen anything about Ignite, but honestly, I was kind of suspecting that they won't do anything with Ignite, because I feel like GGG really likes to move the meta around, and they definitely know that Ignite is in a bad state, and they would definitely consider fixing it, but it's one of those things where they probably thought like it was so dominant for such a long time that let's give people a little bit of a break from it, and like once we make it pretty meta again, like people can be rejuvenated and come back into it or something like that. I don't know. I mean, they've done that frequently. Like, they've done that a lot, honestly, throughout the years, where they would like either let something broken last for 2 or 3 leagues, or like not fix something for 2 or 3 leagues just to make it a point to like control the meta. So that's definitely happened with like Vol skills and shit, because usually they would implement very simple fixes. I mean, when it comes to this, I feel like there's no real simple fix other than either overhauling the system or adding, like modifying the skill tree heavily. I don't know, I'd have to really think about it. I haven't really considered it much, but yeah, I would imagine that's something that people are probably heavily disappointed with. Yeah. The effects created by Flamebearers, Frostbearers, and Stormbearer Bloodline monsters now appear more quickly and should be more clearly visible. Appear more quickly? Oh fuck. Or maybe they still take the same amount of time to explode, but the annoying part with those effects is that, yeah, you don't really see them, because when you kill the mob, it takes it like a second to actually start spawning the orb. So hopefully that's a good change. Unless it just pops faster, but it still like appears after a second or something. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, I think they're aware that visually this was kind of a problem. Or maybe add some sort of sound cube. Wow, that is pretty major. It also looks like shit. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because it's a still frame. Explode and create damaging patches on the ground. And Skryah herself is much more mobile. Much more mobile? That bitch wasn't moving at all. Was much more mobile. I mean, in this case, she literally was standing in one spot. The monsters spawned by her pods are possessed by more difficult parasites. Skryah herself is now immune to knockback. Right, okay. I'm feeling ya. More mobile. God damn it. The Lightning Thorn skill used by Blackguard mages as well as others no longer deals a flat amount of reflected lightning damage to the attacker. Instead, it now triggers a nova of lightning projectiles with a short cooldown. Oh shit. Sounds a little bit spoopy. Can I even say this word on Twitch? Encephalophage. Encephalophage can now leap slam. Infesting hollow skull? What the fuck? I can't say the P word on Twitch, come on. Parasite, the drop off a slain monster will now match their host's rarity. Oh, interesting. That's cool. Riptide now better signals when it will use its dangerous skills and creates fewer vortexes. That's a very good change. Fuck yes, about time. Captain Arteri and Captain Aurelianus can now drop items, just not very many. Okay, that's a great change too. I actually never realized that those guys can't drop items. It never even dawned on me, actually. But it did, yeah. Carrion Burrowers are now visually distinct from their surface-dwelling counterparts. Carrion Burrowers are now visually distinct from their surface-dwelling counterparts. So we've got new Krabbies, I guess. Alright, what more do we have? The life and damage of many Warbands monsters have been adjusted to make them suitable map bosses. I hope by adjusted they mean lowered, because if these are map bosses now, getting the Spectral Thrower map boss or the Discharger guy, the fire dude, fuck that. That thing's gonna insta-pop you. No way. That's gonna be some scary shit. Like, even the guy in that one T13 is really scary. That Warbands pack, if you get the bad one, damn. I hope they lowered the damage, honestly. The beams in the various reassembled encounter now have more pattern variations. They also deal less damage, but the damage persists for a duration after you have been touched. I mean, most people don't even see the beams because this dude has like 20 life, so you just pop him instantly. I don't know. Probably half of the chat has never even seen the beams from this guy because you just kill him before he even does anything. I don't know. Can you highlight the text? Sure, partially. The beams in the Kato Defiler of Light encounter have had the same treatment. Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Now tell me who Kato Defiler of Light is. Oh, I think I know who Kato Defiler of Light is. He's the guy, I'm pretty sure it's the guy who does like the incinerate in the rooms leading, in the laggy rooms leading up to Desecrated Chamber. I'm pretty sure that's the guy. Maybe not. He does like Incinerate that does a lot of damage and a bunch of other shit. Like the lasers. I don't know. Malagari's Slam attack in Act 7 and 9 now also always poison and maims and hit. What? I thought that was like a pretty deadly attack already. Sulfuric Striders and Undying Operators can no longer appear in Essence Monoliths. Undying Operators? I hope they mean the spinny fucky guys, because those guys were literally indestructible when they had an essence on them. Or did they mean something else? Sulfuric Striders and Undying Operators. I hope they mean the spinny guys. Like, those spinny guys were just impossible to kill. Highlight text. Yeah. Jesus. The bloodstained skeletons found in blood aqueducts have been made slightly more difficult. There's skeletons in there? Oh yeah, the like little fast running guys. Okay. Effigy of Fierce Crows now deal more damage. Oh, I know what that is. That's the guys in the fields leading up to Solaris, right? Improve the Totem encounter in Act 8. Totem and Ankh can now use a few extra skills. Well, they had no skills before. What do you mean a few extra? Katarina missions, which require you to find, raise, and kill an undead monster, now use different on-death effects. Cool. Missed the word? Suck it. Reduce the amount of damage dealt by Pillars of Carnage Rune Explosion. Pillars of Carnage Rune Explosion? The fuck? Chevron's Ball Lightning in Act 6 and 9 now deals more damage and has a clear area of effect. This skill now deals less damage at close range? What the fuck? Those balls would deal so much damage! Holy shit! You guys gotta cap your lightning resist for these encounters now, because you're gonna get fucked up! I've seen so many people get stun locked by that shit to death. They did a lot of damage already. Damn. That's pretty deadly. I mean, maybe it's not that much more. Yeah, Tarky Cat died to that too. Chevron's summoned books now have more life and deal approximately 35 more damage? What? They were already like indestructible. I mean, they didn't do a lot of damage, but they were really hard to kill. Inaukwa Death's Worship now deals physical damage with her projectile nova. Her raging spirits now deal more damage at lower levels. Yeah, no idea what that is. You skipped a line? Oh, shit. Oh, Chevron's Stormburst in Act 9 now fires an additional projectile. It can no longer stun, and it deals less damage to players at close range. Stormburst in Act 9 now fires an additional projectile? I don't think I've ever seen that shit. I kinda kill her. You can like barely see the Brutus slams on her too. It's a random Vol boss. Okay. Gru's Bandit's allies now flee when he dies. Oh, that's a cool change. Dodry's Spirit is now a little quicker at raising zombies in Act 9. Raising zombies? I've never seen any of these fucking bosses do anything in Act 9. Are you kidding? Dodry in Act 9 no longer... Wait, no, Act 9? No, the Dodry is Act 8, the scary one, right? Act 9 is the shitty one. She has raised zombies? What? Dodry in Act 9 no longer repeatedly summons a large number of stone pillars. The pillars now die when the encounter ends. Okay. Significant portions of the Depraved Trinity encounter have been reworked. In particular, Malagaro's Bladefall and Chevron's Ball Lightning have undergone large changes. Damn, those were like the only things that dealt a lot of damage. Well, kinda if you got the vulnerability stacked up on you. So it might actually do a lot. They did say that they're like reworking the entire encounter. This seems a little bit underwhelming. The damage of Kitava's X-Bats, the skill shaped like an X, thanks, has been lowered slightly in Act 10. Okay. It's probably a good thing. I mean, that shit dealt so much fucking damage when coming in. The Bear Acolytes in Act 6 now move more quickly. Okay. Brine Crack now has a sweet suit of cracking new skills. Yeah, I never understood this boss. The Brine Crack, it's like the big ass crab that walks towards you in the last zone prior to the Brine King's Reef thing. That guy never did anything. He just kind of stood there. It was one of those bosses that I was always really concerned about, because he never does anything. He just like slaps around. So I was always like, holy shit, is he gonna DD me? Like, is he spawning corpses? Is something falling from the roof? Like, what is he gonna do? But no, he never did anything. So apparently now it actually does something. Alright, Clockwork Golems will no longer simply flee. Instead, they will move around you and to you based on different conditions. Their damage has been increased by 25%. Wow, really? Early mapping... These guys did quite a bit of damage already. 25%, and they're actually moving around you. It's the little fuckers that, like the little crabby things with like a globe on their back that shoot arc at you and they run around. They like try to run away from you. They actually did quite a bit of damage in like early mapping. One of the scarier mobs. It's just usually it would be just a single mob, you know? So they'd kind of just be annoying rather than create a real threat. As far as I know, they never announced a rework of the boss, neither did they Say we get a replacement. They said Act 9 has a completely new boss. A side boss equals the Scorpion. Even got announced like a week later. Oh, okay. I thought it said something like the final boss of Act 9 is completely new or something like that. Okay. Reduce the damage dealt by Harbinger of Discord's Holy Mortar and the duration of its Holy Spark. Harbinger of Disorder? What? Harbinger of Disorder? What the fuck is that thing? Mortar? Oh, it's a Vol boss. Oh. I have never been here. Well, he got popped apparently. Oh. Yikes, dude. He has Vol Spark. Damn, that's such a cool animation. I wish there was somewhere more in the game. That's cool. The Augmented Dead in Chamber of Sin Axa no longer have a chance to launch a lightning projectile on death. Why not? Wait, that's it? They just removed it? But that was cool. It did a lot of damage too if you had uncapped lightning. Dawn can now throw his shield and it will explode into smaller projectiles. Cool, those bosses were a little bit too simple. They have a fuck ton of life though. I wish they lowered the amount of life they've got. Spent like 10 minutes killing those dudes. Dusk has a new projectile skill called Carpet Bomb, and it doesn't make your floor more comfortable to walk on. Okay. The Window Shard monster in Act 10 now deal more damage. Window Shard monsters in Act 10 have more life and resist all elements instead of just cold. They spawn in fewer numbers and are larger. They now have altered behavior to be less likely to use all their rolling attack immediately. Oh, the little golemy things. Yeah, the pink golems in Desecrated Chamber, right. Plague Wretch in the Chamber of Sins now has some friends he can hang out with. Yikes. Sin and Innocence are now a little more dynamic during the Act 10 finale. Yeah, I thought they always were just kind of weird, just like... And then he grabs them and they go... And just not particularly exciting. The Basilisk now has a Stone Gaze ability. Oof, I love hearing about the gaze. If you face each other during this ability, you become petrified. Petrification is similar to freeze, but is removed if you are hit a number of times or the duration runs out. Damn, that's cool. When I first saw that boss, I was also like, this guy needs some sort of petrifying ability, because it really heavily reminded me of Baldur's Gate 2, right? Or Baldur's Gate 1 also. Well, actually primarily Baldur's Gate 1 with the basilisks. And like you get petrified, you're basically fucked. And there's like, whenever you were going in those zones with basilisks, you'd always see all these statues of dudes, and then you could like use it on some of them, use the remove petrification, and they'd attack you or be friendly and whatnot. It was such a cool thing. And here all those dudes unfreeze, but you don't really spend any time fighting them, because why would you even backtrack through that zone? The blood-soaked fallen in blood aqueducts now explode on death, sending corrupted blood projectiles in all directions. Really? I mean, they always had like an animation that kind of indicated that they're doing something when they die, but that sounds a little bit scary. That was a pretty simple zone, unless you got hit by 3 white zombies, then you kind of just died. Tukohama's vanguards no longer summon multiple totems at a time while spectered, and the duration of their totems has been lowered to 5 seconds from 10. They are less likely to place additional totems while they have at least one totem. Good. Thank fuck. Yeah. Good. And more I was hearing how incredibly broken these things are. And you know, if Dan says something's broken, you just gotta be like, yeah. I remember people would say like, oh, they're broken. I'm like, just like, I mean, they're really good, but are they really broken? And then Dan was like, yeah, they're broken. I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry, Dan. Wickerman Righteous Fire damage has been lowered while spectered. Yikes. These monsters were using a version of Righteous Fire not intended for specters and were dealing significantly more damage than intended as a result. Significantly more? This change brings them in line with other specters who use Righteous Fire. Brings them in line with other specters that use Righteous Fire? So they suck then. Is that... that kind of sucks, guys. I mean, yeah, if it's like Burning Miscreations tier damage, I tried to make Burning Miscreations work. I mean, it's still Righteous Fire, and obviously Burning Miscreations have like zero life in comparison to Wickerman, and Wickerman did a lot. But honestly, compared to like Solar Guards, Wickerman are kind of a shit specter. So, I don't know. I don't know. They probably did a little bit more, but I feel like if you're nerfing these dudes, you should probably nerf Solar Guards too, because they're pretty fucked up. The entire atlas has been reworked, by the way. No big deal. Many map names have changed, as have their balance, tier, and position on the atlas. I have started to watch Carve's atlas video. Yeah, it seems like the atlas will be pretty hard to fill up from an SSF perspective. Yeah. Maps have also had their boss fights swapped or completely reworked. So, I think this is amazing, all joking aside. A complete rework of the atlas. I remember when they introduced the atlas and they reworked the map system. It was so much fucking fun. Like, initially discovering all these things and going through them. It was just so much fun. And I remember that was also, I'm pretty sure, where the Legend of the Four-Link Warrior started, right? That was the one where there was no SSF support just yet, but I did the whole SSF thing. And then obviously, as a classic, died first on the ladder. Why not? But yeah, I enjoyed that so much. That was such a fucking good patch. It's like made the game so fresh, so I'm expecting a lot out of this. The rules used to generate monsters in endgame maps have been significantly reworked and rebalanced around the rate at which we expect players to reliably clear out the map. In general, narrow linear maps will contain fewer total monsters than maps with complex layouts. We'll be closely monitoring and adjusting the balance of this change and expect to make further changes and improvements over time. Great, I hope they actually make this during the league and not after. Yeah. Map mods have also been rebalanced, and every mod now provides increased item rarity, increased item quantity, and increased monster pack size, though the magnitude are dependent on the difficulty of the mod. So, I think that's a pretty great change. It's about time. The thing that this boils down to, for me, is basically how obtainable maps will be through Abyss and shit like that. Because running blue maps has been too much of a thing, I think, at this point, especially on hardcore. So now that you would feel really rewarded, and especially since all of this stacks with sextanting and all that, so you really feel like you need this pack size, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And finally, you won't get a good rolled map and you're just like, oh, okay, I have to re-roll this because it has no pack size mods. No, if you have a good rolled map now, it might have a little bit less pack size, but it's gonna have it, and you still want to run it. So re-rolling shit like Burning Ground, for instance, won't feel nearly as punishing as it was before. So yeah, overall makes the game more difficult, which is really cool. I like it. More rewarding for its difficulty. Malkun. Monsters no longer gain power and endurance charges every 20 seconds, as this was consistently causing performance problems. These monsters now have a chance to gain those charges on hit. Okay, so they will never have charges, because if you get hit in that map, you're fucking dead. The number of monsters that appear in this map has been reduced, but the area now grants an increase to experience gain to compensate. That's a great change. Added a new map prefix, fisting. Area is inhabited by cultists of Kitava. Yeah, this really should be named fisting. I mean, seriously. Cultists of Kitava? Fuck that, man. That's the fuck your shit up special. Many monsters which appear in Act 5 through Act 10 but did not appear in maps have been added to maps. Really? Ugh. I hope not the parasite mobs, because that shit's just gonna be so annoying to deal with. I mean, at least now they grant more experience if you actually shatter them and shit. Alright, got the fisting, got the new map, the new mobs, which is great. I mean, it's gonna be annoying, but it's probably great. Map bosses which have multiple forms, especially since they added new mobs into different areas too, as mentioned above. Map bosses which have multiple forms or phases no longer count as multiple map bosses for the sake of achievements and challenges. Sure. Suncolor Ash's Leap Slam ability has been rebalanced, now has a 4-second cooldown. Suncolor's Asha Leap Slam ability? Who dat? Suncolor Asha? I'm thinking like High Garden, but I... Oh, it is High Garden. Okay, yeah, so I guess it was a leap slam. Kind of looked more like a charge, but good. I mean, I don't know what slightly rebalanced mean. I would always get my shit fucked up by that, but sure. Rektar can now smack around players who are standing too close to walls. This is the hoppy guy from George, I guess. Perchhounds now come out of their gates from further away and will pursue players for longer distance. That's great. Water elementals and their variants now appear in packs as a mix of visible and hidden monsters, as opposed to all hidden or all visible. Water elementals and their variants now appear in packs as a mix of visible and hidden monsters. What? It's the guys that do the Ice Nova and the Cold Snap and all that sort of shit? I don't know. The boss of Death and Tax's unique map now moves 35% faster while immune to damage. Twisted Effigy monster corpses can now be desecrated if you bring one into a map with you. They do Earthquake? Oh, then it's a statue that turns into a spider thingy? Oh, damn. That's too bad. I thought those were the guys who spawn, maybe it was some sort of other effigy that spawn ravens. I mean, I'd still try them out. Aroa map bosses now gain 33% of their maximum life whenever you break one of their nests. Okay, that's probably about right. Added a pack of magic monsters to the boss rooms of maps that were missing them. Thank you, that's actually a great addition too. Monsters can now appear closer to the entrance in Oba's Curse Trove. Sure. The Hollow Ground unique map is now on the Cemetery base type. Sure. Passive tree changes. Volpact has been significantly reworked, by the way. It no longer grants instantaneous life leech and instead doubles the rate of your life leech as well as your maximum leech rate. It has been moved into the duelist area. Yeah, great change. Fuck yeah. I think it's still gonna be OP as fuck, but yeah. It's a great change. I think that it's still gonna get nerfed. Honestly, but maybe they're gonna stop it for right now. Volpact, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Volpact is weaker, but it doesn't really matter because you can't break the game with it, but you can still face tank everything in the game. And since they changed Reflect, it's not a big deal. The passive skills behind Matter over Matter now grant 10% increased mana, down from 12% on the non-notables, and 30% increased mana, down from 40, and 40 added mana, down from 100 on the notable. Damn! So that's like 2 passive points weaker. Unplayable, guys. Shit. They nerfed it by like 2 passive points. Okay. MOM was OP. I mean, early game MOM was OP. I don't know. End game MOM, was it OP? It was really strong, yeah. It was really strong. But this is pretty insignificant. Again, it's like two passive points equivalents. You know, not a big deal. Especially if you take into account that there's going to be so many Abyss Jewels that probably are real fucked up with all this mana stuff now. Like if you're getting 40 flat life on a jewel on a single stat, imagine how much mana you're getting too. It's pretty nuts. Hemothagy. Notable now grants 3% maximum life per second to maximum life reach rate, down from 5%. The Vitality Void notable now grants 3% maximum life per second to maximum leech rate, down from 5. Still really strong. Passive skills, which previously granted increased melee physical damage while holding a shield, now grant increased physical attack damage while holding a shield. Increased melee physical damage while holding a shield, now grant increased physical attack damage while holding a shield, no longer restricted to melee. Ooh. Huh. Damn. That's really strong. Because it pretty much buffs Fizz Wanders, it buffs up like Spec Throwers, that sort of shit. I'm thinking like how significant would that be, but I mean especially with Volpack being all the way down, you'd travel down to the skill tree and you'd pick up all that juicy duelist shit, right? All this shit down here. And this stuff too. Damn, that's a lot of scaling over here now. Many passive skills which previously only provided defensive bonuses while using a shield now also grant increased physical attack damage and damage with ailments while holding a shield. Oh, so they buff him up on top of everything. Wow. So when I was talking about how deflection is like, I remember people would always take deflection on like CI builds and shit like that. Yeah, apparently this will have a little bit of extra on top of everything. Not bad. Damn, this might be like a... This might be a comeback of those 75 dodge, 75 block builds or something like that. I don't know, we'll see. That seems pretty significant. Whatever. Removed one of the passive skills leading to the Ash, Frost, and Storm notable near the Scion. Pretty much insignificant still. I mean, people wouldn't really take this shit, right? Especially now? I don't know. Yuck. It's something to take. But people always have like starter nodes from other places available. And people don't take them because they're 10% equivalents. Unless you're... I guess that's only with elemental skills. Because if you're running Fizz or Chaos, you kind of take 10% efficiency nodes. Sometimes. Sometimes a little bit. Ascendancy balance changes. Brutal Fervor no longer grants plus 10 to maximum life per second to maximum life leech rate. Yep. Pantheon, the map bosses you require to defeat to upgrade your Pantheon have for the most part changed. Shikari has been added to the Pantheon, which is the Scorpion Mama. running around, apparently. Labyrinth Balance added a new Dark Shrine effect that can only be found in the Eternal Lab. Changed the new requirements for some chests to appear. In general, chests should have more rewarding and better suited. Chests should feel more rewarding and better suited for their level and difficulty. Cool. I like that. As long as it's not totally overboard. Increase the total amount of items found on average from silver chests. Cool. The helmet enchantment, which grants additional projectiles for barrage, has been removed from the Merciless Labyrinth. The Eternal Labyrinth barrage enchantment now grants an additional projectile down from 2. Justified in my opinion. Zana League mods available during 3.1. Anarchy. Bloodlines, Beyond, Fortune Favors the Brave. Select Zana mod at random from those available from the device, including any mods you have not yet unlocked. Wow. Ambush is 5, Domination is 6, Essence is 7, and Breach is 8. Well, I guess 2 things come through. They added Essence. Amazing. Thank you, GGG. It costs 5 Chaos Orbs. That's a little bit much, but having it be Essence, thank you. I wish it was lower than 7. Honestly, I would personally probably put it at 4 and put the Beyond at 7. Something like that. That seems reasonable. And now the not so good part. Why the fuck is Breach 8? How are you gonna do that? Like, how are you gonna do it like that, huh? I don't know. Breach is 8, 2 additional, Essence is 7, 2 extra. Again, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the Essence addition, but Breach being 8, I would probably put Breach at 7. I don't know. I don't want anything to be 8, honestly. Yeah, Zana level 8 mod is stupid, I think. You can get it at level 4, sure. I mean, yeah, the Fortune Favors the Brave, considering it's 3 Chaos Orbs. Seems pretty reasonable to use. I mean, unless you hit, like... I mean, there's really nothing bad you can hit for the cost of 3 Chaos. I feel like that should be like 5 Chaos. Otherwise, it's... yeah, it's kind of justified. Yeah, because Beyond is 3. Bloodlines is 3. Ambush, 4. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would just use Fortune Favors the Brave. That's a pretty cool idea. I still hate to see Essence at 7 and Breach at 8. I don't know, having anything on 8 is just so stupid to me. I mean, I've had level 100 characters that didn't even have a Zana level 7, and I was completing all quests. It's like, you know, you gotta run those rotations. World changes. Completing the Mercy Mission quest now rewards players with their choice of support gem as well as a flask. Okay. So, it's not Fetid Pool, it's Mercy Mission. So yeah, to anybody that's missed it, the new support gems are apparently level 4, as I've learned personally yesterday. And a lot of these new support gems are very, very cool for racing and speed leveling, that sort of stuff. They're generally pretty freaking cool abilities, and things like, for instance, Mirage Archer are going to be great for leveling any sort of bow character, honestly. So, yeah, it's looking really nice. It's looking really nice. I think these will be pretty massive improvements. Probably nothing from what I'm seeing here. Early levels of Sunder haven't been nerfed, so probably not something that's going to like break out of the Sunder meta, but a lot more comfortable for other things. Alright. Okay, so it's completing the Mercy Mission, which I also think, by the way, is a great thing. And fuck you to everybody who thought that it's not worth it to complete the Mercy Mission if you're playing a duelist or something like that. Now you're gonna have to. Probably not. Actually, I don't think Sort of. I mean, Ancestral Call is in there. God, leveling with Frostblades is going to be really interesting depending on the targeting with Ancestral Call now, but we're going to have to wait and see. I might just play Frostblades, honestly. I don't really know. There's so many things that you can play now. I'm probably going to play some sort of, you know, melee something, either EK or Frostblades or something like that, I feel like. Which I'm really looking forward to, because, yay, I didn't really have much of another idea. The Hedge Mage has been removed, and both Cheetah's Plum and the Trial Vicinity has been moved to the Imperial Gardens. Huh. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a really fucking annoying zone. Story glyphs have been added to areas all throughout Rayclass, but in particular the areas added in the Fall of Oriath. That's cool, yeah, especially if they throw in a bunch of voice acting. Strange Barrel now contains many more ordinary, non-swarming things. It's great, this shit was so boring. I would always skip it, so maybe it's gonna be more fun now. The fuel event at the beacon is now more involved, with extra monster packs spawning during the event. Thank you, yes. Yeah. The Sodden Forest, especially in Nexus, has been fleshed out. What does that mean? The Act 6 version can now generate Vol side areas. Fleshed out? In the lead up to the depraved? Oh, depraved? This is stiff English, by the way. Trinity encounter, the Heart entrance to Malagaro, Chevron, and Dodry's area. Stop beating as you defeat the associated boss. Thank you. I would so many times enter that shit on accident and have to rerun the entirety of the zone. Heat. The Templar stash in the Acton ossuary has been renamed to the Sealed Chest. It has been given a new model. Sure. Hargan no longer discusses the High Garden, and talking to him about it no longer requires for the All Ears achievement. Added numerous variations to the world areas throughout the campaign. Most areas, in particular areas added in the Fall of Oriath, now have several new possible layouts. That's gonna be fun to learn. I hope they fix some areas too. Like some of the early areas that are super broken now. Oh man, I'm kind of worried about this one, you guys. Vol's Proclamation in the Western Forest is now destroyed in Part 2. You should check it out. It's pretty neat. Vol's Proclamation in the Western Forest. Vol's Proclamation? The fuck? Updated the minimap icons for doors and area transitions that were missing them. Shrines should no longer appear directly outside Tokuhama's fortress. Kitava's area in Act 10 is now called Altar of Hunger. Malakai's journal no longer references an incorrect date. That's pretty neat, you guys. Prophecies. Bear monsters able to fulfill the requirement for unique item prophecies have been added to various locations throughout the world. They provide an opportunity to obtain an item with a high enough level to be 6-linked. You no longer... to be 6-socketed, no? This should say, actually. You are no longer required to have the subject of a fated unique prophecy equipped. You can now complete such prophecies by merely holding the unique item in your inventory while killing the correct boss. Well, that's comfortable now, because that was always pretty annoying with like the stats requirements and all that shit. The prophecy, the twins, which turns a non-twinned map into a twinned map, no longer grants 6% increased quantity of items found. The prophecy monster's treasure now completes upon opening the final strongbox in the area. Oh, it completed before upon entering the area, I think? Oh, here we go. Fixed the bug where you could leap slam out of General Addis's arena without completing the encounter. Also prevented access to the Tranthrotol powder until General Addis is dead. For good measure, you know what you did, Rise. Hey, that's me. And just to be clear, I didn't find this out. I just abused the shit out of it. Apparently Nogrul was the one who found it out. I don't know. I've seen it from his video. Apparently, I was a naughty boy though. Pretty cool. Quite the milestone to be mentioned in GGG's patch notes. Not gonna lie. The funniest part out of all of this is that I actually tried to do this with Leap Slam profusely. I couldn't do it with anything but Flame Dash, so this is kind of wrong. I don't know. Yeah, naughty boy QT.